Dear CW, we truly appreciate your latest release, the 1236, and we have dropped our hard earned cash on this beautifully crafted watch. However, we feel that you could have done better, so we took the liberty of commissioning Design Atelier to come up with three new watch designs that we would like to see from this amazing collection. Thanks for your time, and you can thank us later. Your loyal fans, Watch Pirate Babies. P.S. We have provided your headquarters coordinates to a small squadron of machete-wielding commando penguins to ensure that you are properly motivated for these next projects. Now, I wrote that letter because I know that that letter will not write itself, knowing that you are all too lazy to do it. So, here are the three new watch designs that you think should be included in the next The 12 from Christopher Ward. But first, let's have a little fun against the Tissot PRX because that's the closest and hottest comparison with the 12 when it came out. Tissot recently launched the digital version and it's just begging to be poked fun of. I began, of course, with the ice blue model of the 12 and removed the indexes and hands. I slapped on the digital display of the DGT 2040 and placed the buttons where it's located. I also added a few details that I assumed CW would include, such as this lovely polished frame. Some are against this idea and I don't blame them. It kinda lost a sense of elegance, but I could see it still working with the 12 given the opportunity or objective to do so. So now let's do something that you would actually like. Call Me Drew suggested a skeleton version of the 12 and I was happy to oblige. I started with finding the right kind of movement and it turns out that there's a skeleton version of the SW200. CW has been using these movements before, so it's definitely doable. So now I place that movement inside a hollow case and bracelet. Pretty straightforward. A sapphire glass is then used as a dial and to make things more interesting and give CW an extra canvas to work with. Bear in mind too that this Salita caliber will not be decorated enough for the price point, so the Fume glass dial will obscure this limitation. Then for the finishing touches, we'll be adding the same indexes that's a strong design element of the collection, and some lovely prints on the dial around that design. Skeleton watches are not for everyone, but CW has a good track record of making them attractive while playing with its strengths in this type of watches. This will have a great sense of dimensionality and a good addition to the collection as it continues to expand. Part of making an expansive collection is a chronograph version. Our Descosar 26 wanted to see one, even though I think he's sarcastically asking me to make a render. CW only has one chronograph in their resume, but it's good enough for a reason to pull it off. I began with this desaturated 40mm version as this already has a date window. Notice too, I already colored the logo to make it pop a little bit more on this textured dial. I then moved the crown guards up to where the pushers would be located. This is a testament to the solid design of the 12 as we can repurpose these existing parts into new functions with relative ease. I opted to have some blued indexes and hands on this one. It sort of reminds you of the Omega Aquaterra, but hey, that's a great design choice regardless. It's now time to place the subdials, and these were taken straight from the Royal Oak, which seems to be oddly fitting with this dial. Maybe it's because that we're so used to seeing these subdials on the waffle pattern of an AP. Finally, let's add a tachymeter bezel on this variant. I used an El Primero tachymeter on this one to match its slick numerals and narrow flange of the 12. This odd offspring of cobbled up parts surprisingly looks like a Royal Oak offshore for those who don't have the disposable income for a high piece. This shows how design piracy can actually satisfy some horological itches. Another itch to scratch is that of Matt C's Gray. He's asking for a golden version of the 36. Let's take a desaturated the 1236 and let's apply the new dial finish to this one. I applied a sunburst finish on this version to minimize the attention that the dial will take that's already occupied by that striking gold case and bracelet that's coming up next. For this, I used a slight shade of yellow and rose gold to capture both the fans of the colors. The cherry on top is the alligator strap that I literally swiped from a VC Overseas. I gotta say, it's really enticing if Christopher Ward offered these beauties to the public. Well, because the public has spoken, these are great and solid suggestions. in the first place. And that was a fun exercise from all of you who commented about the Christopher Ward 36 and how it could have been better or what other variants we would like to see in the future. So here are some of the other things or some of the other comments that didn't make it through the concept of this video. Simone De Felice says, a 38mm Zaratsu like polishing with titanium grade 5, 1200V treatment, no date version and a date version with loom date wheel. Closed case back, if open, a beautifully decorated blue screws. Okay, so he's like pushing here for some really high level materials to be used on the 12. But here's the thing, whenever I make these concept videos, it's very hard for me to show titanium, because the only thing that would make it look different visually is that it's going to be muted slightly. Now if it's Zaratsu polished, it would just look like regular steel on my renders, so that's why I didn't choose this. And not to mention the 38 millimeter dimensions on graphics doesn't really translate as much unless you compare it with other sizes, which really doesn't make it as interesting as his suggestion is. However, in concept, if he was talking about this, because we've seen the other Christopher Ward, the 12, the original one, it has a titanium version, and it seems to be modestly polished and finished. So this is possible for Christopher Ward, and then add a 1200 Vickers treatment, and that would be a great addition. But then this is going to be a minor upgrade to what Christopher Ward already was making, so that didn't make the cut. And there's a comment here from Dunder Hay, which is actually pretty simple to do. He thinks that the hideous crown guards should go. That could have been easy to do, but I think here's an unpopular opinion if you take it. I think that those crown guards actually make the 12 a little bit more unique compared to other watches, and it kind of helps further that the symmetry that it has, but at the same time not breaking its design language, because you could see all of this pleasing chamfers that you could see on the bezel and on the case is also translated in those crown guards. So no, let's keep those crown guards. Neowana says, no such thing as perfect. Even if there was, none of us would know it. Do you really have to be so literal about these comments? I'm just saying, make the perfect watch for you. It's not going to be literally perfect. Of course, there's going to be flaws. Nothing is perfect. We understood that. We're not that kind of babies, Neowana. We are pirate babies, but we kind of have some intellectual faculties still left within our brain cells, okay? We understood what that means. You don't have to like make it too literal. Also, go full BC Overseas homage. Instead of the Maltese cross bracelet, make the CW Ward cross bracelet. Okay, this is actually pretty complicated. I tried to do this, but it ended up looking like one of those cheap cross bracelets from AliExpress. I didn't want to even show it. I think there is a way for that to be done, but the Christopher Ward way would be a little bit more finessed and a little bit more functional, if I may say so. And that is it. Oh, and there's one more thing. Mr. Knightley says, I think it would be better if it had Panerai Rajumir style lugs and maybe a Rajumir dial as well. Make it 45mm and big huge onion crown. Then it would be perfect. You know what? What would be like the perfect idea for Mr. Knightley is to just buy a Panerai Rajumir. If you want, let me know. I can offer you a great price. We're a dealer of Panerais. Just contact me if you really want to. Just drop the dream of converting Christopher Ward 12. Just go straight and buy a Panerai. Whoa, did I hear you just fart from here, from there? I'm recording. That's going into the outtakes.